but I'm certain, I'm moving, and that feels good.
Robert Downey Jr. was born in New York's Greenwich Village on the 4th of April 1965 to underground filmmaker Robert Downey Sr. and actress Elsie Downey.
I don't think Robert Downey Jr. had an Ozzy and Harriet childhood. I think he had a much more sort of hippie, freaky, cool childhood.
Robert grew up in this very bohemian culture. His father was an underground filmmaker, made a lot of sort of strange films, like one called Pound, that had people playing dogs. Robert appeared in that movie when he was only 5 years old.
So this is the kind of atmosphere that Robert Downey Jr. grew up in, which was New York, bohemian, artistic life. And this obviously had an enormous effect upon him.
Filmmaking wasn't the only thing that Robert was introduced to at an early age.
Robert Downey Jr. says that it was his father who actually introduced him to drugs, gave him his first hit of marijuana when he was like 8 years old.
Robert Downey Sr., some would say maybe he wasn't the best father, but he certainly imparted his son with a lot of gifts, the gift of the gab and a sense of adventurousness. And that just simply can't be overstated as a positive. It can't be. Because so many actors, the vast majority of actors, will play it safe.
Robert knew from an early age that he wanted to act. So in the early 80s, when his parents split up, Robert followed his father to Hollywood. Small film roles and an intense romance followed.
One of the films that Robert was in when he was younger was Firstborn. He met Sarah Jessica Parker when he was filming that. They were co-stars, and they fell for each other, and they had a long relationship after that.
So I think they had a lot in common in that, they had grown up fast. They had been working as actors from childhood. They sort of had a similar experience. They clearly appreciated each other and understood what each other were going through because they were so young when they were experiencing fame.
Robert's fame continued to grow. In 1985, he was cast in Weird Science by John Hughes. The role got him into the group of up-and-coming 80s actors known as the Brat Pack.
I think a lot of people first noticed Robert Downey Jr. In Weird Science, as it did lump him into that whole sort of Brat Pack scene. He was seen as a peripheral member of the Brat Pack, which seems, somewhat strange these days.
Robert Downey Jr. was the coolest of the Brat Pack. Let's just say that, he was a Brat Packer who really stood out.
In 1985, at the height of Brat Pack fame, Anthony Michael Hall joined the new cast of Saturday Night Live. Robert followed his friend to New York City, and he also became a cast member of the live comedy show.
I think it's fair to say that Robert Downey Jr. joined SNL at something of a low point. And there are actually some remarkably talented people in that cast, but for some reason, it just didn't gel.
If you look back on it now, it's hard to even believe with Robert Downey's career that he spent a year on Saturday Night Live doing, these sketches, sketch comedy, and really bad sketch comedy at that.
But aside from that, I have no complaints. I really don't.
After a disappointing year on Saturday Night Live, Downey returned to Los Angeles. In 1987, he landed his first lead in The Pickup Artist. The film was written and directed by another newcomer, James Toback.
The first thing I noticed about him was how quick he was in his expressions. There was a liveliness in the eyes and a physical shiftiness and a readiness to spring that made me feel that you never quite knew what he was going to do next. All of the scenes that involve physical grace, he's very sparky and lively. There was great kind of dexterous movie made to avoid having his penis eaten off by the German Shepherd that Vanessa Williams was walking on the street.
Hi. Haircut. I couldn't help noticing this great outfit and the way you walk, which is very exciting. And your terrific haircut, which I love. And of course, this great looking dog. Hi.
And had that dog had a neck that stretched up another couple of inches, Robert's experience on The Pickup Artist would have been far less pleasant than it was.
Never one to take the easy option, Robert decided to challenge himself and his audience, playing the less than glamorous Julian Wells in Less Than Zero.
Less Than Zero came out in 1987, and it was sort of marketed towards the Brat Pack fans. It was, you know, your favorite people, Andrew McCarthy, Jamie Gertz, Robert Downey Jr., and it seemed like, oh, this is great, I love these people, I'm going to go see this movie. And then you saw it, and it was really disturbing.
I think that the Brat Pack took on Less Than Zero as a way of trying to show the world that they were serious actors, but could they actually pull it off? In the case of Robert Downey Jr., the answer is most certainly yes.
Robert Downey Jr. plays this kid, really, who's handed everything by his father and just goes through it, becomes addicted to drugs and, you know, sort of destroys himself in many ways.
I just want you guys to know that I know how much you've helped me. You know what I mean? You've helped me when I didn't deserve help, and you've been so kind to me no matter how much I keep poking on. This is why I'm going to make it up to you for everything. All right? I'm going to deserve your friendship.
What few people knew was that the role hit close to home for Robert, who had a deepening addiction to alcohol and drugs.
I know that at one point, the director said to him, I want you and Andrew to go out, and I want you to get into some sort of trouble that Andrew McCarthy has to save you from, so that you guys really feel that. And I guess Robert got like completely smashed and was in the middle, like on Santa Monica Boulevard, like howling at the moon and peeing or something. And the cops came and arrested him, and Andrew McCarthy had to like sort of, you know, bail him out.
Roger Ebert said how real his performance was, and in retrospect, you think, well, you know, it's not surprising in some ways.
Few outside of Robert's circle of friends knew how bad his drug use had become offset. As long as he kept churning out quality work, even fewer would notice.
I can think of singers and entertainers that the people around them really don't care what they're using. They want to know, can you get up there and sing that song? And once you've done that, you've given us our pound of flesh, then what you do aside from that, that's your business.
I always imagine that it's really easy to blow it if you don't work your ass off.
He was definitely a functioning addict. You can't point to movies and say, oh, look at that movie, you know, like he was sleepwalking through that movie. He was a well-functioning addict, actually.
Sooner or later, it's going to get you physically, or you're going to display some type of a behavior. Something sooner or later will unravel.